Hello, my name is Bill Graham. I'm the representative of the Italian Diplomatic Academy to the United Nations, and I'm also the immediate past vice chair of the NGO Committee for Education, Learning, and Literacy at the United Nations in New York. I'm also the current president of the Dare to Be Great Rotary E-Club. For those of you not familiar with Rotary, we are the world's leading association of business and civic leaders with some 1.4 million members in 45,000 locations in almost every country in the world, more than there are members in the United Nations. I'm here to talk to you today a little about the Hult Prize and the need to promote social entrepreneurism around the world, especially in developing countries. Specifically, I want to talk to you about UN Sustainable Development Goal number 8, or SDG number 8. Promote sustained, inclusive, and sustainable economic growth while providing full and productive employment and decent work for all. More simply, closing the economic gap between developing and developed countries and reducing resulting poverty in developing countries. Even more simply, I believe the reason there's so much poverty in most developing countries is because so many poor people live there. Huh? That sounds weird. The reason there's so much poverty in developing countries is because so many poor people live there? What does that mean? Well, what drives economic activity is demand. Said differently, we could say that the reason so many developing countries are so poor is because there is little or no demand in those countries for world-class products and services. How can we say there's no demand for world-class products and services? Hey, just take a look around and see how much need there is. But that's a big part of the problem. Many people confuse need with demand, but they're not the same. Demand is need plus the ability to pay. Unless there is need or desire plus the ability to pay, there's little incentive for anybody to seek to manufacture or distribute products and services to the people living in those communities or countries. This is why even in wealthy developed countries, there are neighborhoods where mostly poor people live, where there are things called food deserts. They're called this because there are few, if any, food stores there. This is because business people say, why would we want to put a store in a neighborhood that doesn't have enough people who can afford to buy the goods in that store? If there is no incentive for people to manufacture or distribute products in those countries or community, then there's no demand for the skilled labor and professional people that would be needed to do such manufacturing and distributing. And if there's no demand for the people to do such work, there's no way that those people can earn an income needed to generate the demand for other kinds of professional services, such as healthcare, engineers, transportation, etc. So what happens to people who gain world-class skills that would enable them to meet the demand for such high-skilled labor? If there's not enough demand in their own country for people with such skills and abilities, they have two choices: join the ranks of the educated unemployed in their own country, or migrate to some place that has the demand for those world-class services. In other words, has the people who can afford to pay for those services. Unfortunately, a large share of the people who have such world-class skills end up migrating to countries that have a higher demand for people with such skills. This is what led the former ambassador from the African Union to the United States to say there were more doctors from Ghana practicing in New York than in Ghana. So what's the answer to this situation? There's only one, and that is to enable the majority of people in developing countries to have the means to be able to pay for the high quality services from their fellow countrymen. If they could afford to pay for the world-class services from their countrymen, those countrymen would have no incentive to move to other countries because they can earn a good living within their own country. In addition, this means those who are paying for those high quality services would be receiving the benefits of those services, such as world-class healthcare, world-class education services, world-class housing with amenities like running clean water, electricity, high-speed internet access, sanitation, world-class infrastructure such as transportation, etc. In other words, this would transform those developing countries into developed countries by having achieved all the SDGs in all parts of their country for all people. But how do we enable all the people to be able to pay for such world-class services? We have to enable everyone to be able to earn world-class incomes. How do we do that? Again, there's only one way. We have to be able to provide the overwhelming majority of the population with competitive skills and abilities to match what's in high demand in the world, or at least within their own communities. It's not going to help to try to grow some share of the population incrementally. We'll increase from 15% getting a world-class education to 30%. That's doubling it. But again, all those graduates are going to be met by all the other people that didn't get those high-quality educations, not being able to pay for their services. So they're still going to be going and looking for opportunities other places. Let's abstract this for just a second. Today, most people trade their skills and ability for wages or money. But if we go back to the time before people used money, we basically had people throughout the community trading some of their skills and abilities for the skills and abilities of their fellow members. But that only works when your fellow community members have skills and abilities that others in the community want. Otherwise, you've got nothing to trade. Let's say one says, hey, you know what? I'm a great maker of bows and arrows, so I'm going to make some bows and arrows. And another one in the community says, I'm a great hunter. So you know what? I'll go out and I'll get some meat for you, and I'll trade that meat for the bows and arrows. And everybody's happy because everybody's got meat and everybody's got bows and arrows. But it all depends on whether the others in the community have something that you want, that you put value on and are willing to trade your valuable skills for. If the others in the communities have nothing of value that you can trade your skills and abilities for, your skills and ability are no longer worth anything, because the value of everything is simply what someone else is willing or able to pay for. And if nobody in the community is able to pay anything for your skills or services, they have no value. They're basically worthless within that community. Some might point out that countries such as China and South Korea, they raised themselves out of poverty by focusing on export markets. But again, this was a case of supply and demand. There were companies in the developed world who were seeking sources of production that would enable them to deliver high quality at lower prices, i.e. lower costs. That required successful suppliers to be able to reliably offer high quality products at low prices. They did this initially by offering a combination of reasonably qualified and highly disciplined workers with an incredible work ethic at a low price. Even today, the 996 work schedule is common throughout the People's Republic of China. This system derives its name from the idea that people work from 9 a.m. until 9 p.m. 6 days a week, 72 hours a week, not a 40-hour work week, 72 hours a week. The wages in the beginning were not that high. That required that at least two members from the household were working those kind of hours to bring in money, but they were able to bring in money. And they were also able to see that those that had the best education or the best skills and abilities were the ones that were able to climb the income opportunity ladder the fastest. And therefore, they made great efforts to ensure their children received the best possible education. This enabled them to offer even greater skills and abilities on the international market, which enabled many Chinese to significantly increase their income levels by more than 1,000% in the past 3 decades. And China is no longer seen just as the manufacturing site, but increasingly also as the research and development site, as the innovative high-tech country. We just have to take a look at their cell phones, what is being done in communications technology overall. The bottom line is we have to find ways to enable all the others in communities to also have the skills and abilities that are in high demand. And in that way, the highly educated can trade their skills and abilities for the skills and abilities of others in the community. For example, one might provide high-class healthcare, and others might say, in exchange, I'll provide you with world-class housing or world-class food or world-class water, energy, and transportation, and so forth. Soon, everybody would be living in a comfortable middle-class lifestyle. So how do you get the great majority of your countrymen to have such competitive skills and abilities of high value? This can only be achieved through education. either academic skills or vocational skills. But we have to realize one important thing about skills and abilities. Where there's more supply than demand for specific skills and abilities, i.e. low-skilled workers, then those with the demand, those that are seeking the workers, have the power, and they set the prices. So those demanding the least income will usually win. So if you go to one country and they say, well, we work for $1 an hour, and another country says, we'll do the same work in the same quality for 50 cents an hour, the one for 50 cents is probably going to get the job. At the same time, when there's less supply than demand for specific skills, those with the supply of those top skills, they have the power and they can set the prices. And therefore, those with the best skills and ability usually end up becoming wealthy. There are, however, a couple of other factors. These include how many good earners per household and how many people within the household need to be supported by that income. If there's a lot of children, then a lot of your income is going to have to go towards caring for those children. Perhaps more importantly, caring for those children is going to reduce the time that potential breadwinners in that household have for acquiring education or employing the world-class skills in exchange for world-class income. But if those jobs are to be sustainably meaningful, you have to find ways to increase the productivity of those workers by continually increasing the value they add, by continually increasing their skills and ability. Beyond this, the only way you can increase your business success in a country like Ghana is to find a way to increase the incomes of all those people that you would like to see as your customers. You can take the position that it's not your responsibility, but if you take that position, you're going to see the success of your business being limited by the ability of the masses of your potential customers' ability to pay for your products and services. This, in turn, is going to limit your ability to pay your employees a reasonable wage, and it will not reduce the number of highly qualified people that are still going to be seeking to leave Ghana, therefore perpetuating Ghana's poor economic situation, which, if you stay, is going to be your situation. I therefore encourage you to donate considerable time to seeking ways to increase the educational output of the entire population of Ghana, while simultaneously seeking to promote a 996 work ethic for all Ghanaians, whether they're employed in careers or still in school. In other words, we see Korea and China. China is now the top education country in the world. Their 2018 international comparative results showed that the average Chinese child, their academic achievement is 10% higher than the second best country in the world. That's your competition. Korean children start school at 7 o'clock in the morning and they go to school until 5 o'clock at night. They go home, they get something to eat, and they go back to school. 85% of the students in Korea go back to school and study for another 3 to 4 hours. That is what the children in Ghana are going to have to do. And they're not going and sitting there and they're passive. They're going there and they are studying like crazy people. They are very actively engaged in that study because they realize life is a competition and you need to be able to outperform others with regards to your skills and knowledge if you're going to be able to get the top opportunities. And you have to do something to discourage women from having more than 2 children and encourage women to seek the same education and career opportunities as men by showing the men that they're damning their entire families to be poor. If they try to accomplish with 1 good earner and 8 family members what many families in developed countries are having with less than 4 family members and 2 good earners. It's not possible. Just do the math. If you can succeed at these steps for the entire population of Ghana over the next 8 to 10 years, it's not unrealistic that you can increase the wages for all Ghanaians by more than 1,000%, just like China did, and potentially grow your business comparatively. So it's hand in hand. Your business can help grow the economy of Ghana, and the growth in the economy in Ghana will come back to reward your business. It's up to you. I hope you'll go and say, whatever it takes, we have to find a way to get the entire population of Ghana to become world-class, productive manufacturers, whatever field they are, whether it's an engineer, a doctor, a scientist, or whether it's a nurse, a carpenter, or a plumber. But you've got to be competitively world-class. Otherwise, you've got nothing to offer. I wish you the best for the competition today. And more than that, I wish you the best for finding ways to raise the entire population of your country, to make your country a fully developed country with the momentum. The countries that are developed today, they don't have much momentum left. If you can do and achieve development goals similar to China for your country, you are going to have momentum. So you are not just going to be another developed country. You have the potential to be a leading developed country. Future's in your hands. I hope you'll go for it. Thank you.